So I was 3 years old when my family moved back to Corpus Christi, and I showed up at Mrs. Blassingame's kindergarten and met Miss Pat Wallace now, and we had a wonderful time at harassing poor Mrs. Blassingame. We've been playing games and having fun ever since.
Growing up, my family has always been very family-oriented, and being George and Tiny's daughter, which I was very fortunate, they instilled that in all of the kids. It's love and family, and you work together. You work it out, and you just be a team. And of course, Ben and I were always a team. We still are.
Teamwork with Pat is been incredible because for whatever reason we think exactly alike. We never argue. We discuss sometimes, but we never argue. She's my best friend. Pat and I got married on November 3rd, 1982, so it'll be 17 years this year. 37
years.
Feels like 17.
Good comeback.
This year's recipients of the Rotary Club of Corpus Christi Harvey Weil Sportsman Conservationist Award are Ben and Pat Wallace, the very definition of a team. Ben was born in New Orleans, but his family soon came to Corpus Christi, where he learned to hunt, fish, and become an exceptional golfer. After high school, he went to Texas Tech for both his undergraduate and law degrees. Pat grew up in Corpus Christi and Port Aransas, where she developed her lifelong love of sport fishing. Pat graduated from Sul Ross State University in Alpine, Texas. Ben and Pat have been blessed with 2 children and 2 grandchildren.
In 1979, I came back, and that was kind of in the middle of the redfish wars back then, where those of us who were fishermen were trying to get the, we call them speckled trout and redfish on the game fish list instead of allowing them to be caught and sold, especially with gill nets and everything else. So that was an opportunity for me to get involved and really truly get involved in my first conservation effort. Was back then GCCA. With that, I got to meet a lot of great people, Chuck Weil and Chuck Clark and Hayden Head and all those guys. Dan Pedrati approached me back in 2000 to see whether or not I'd be interested in joining the Boone and Crockett Club. I'd heard of the Boone and Crockett Club, and I knew Dan was in it. I knew Dan was a past president of the Boone and Crockett Club, which is quite an honor. I mean, it's a very unique organization. I knew that. It took me over a year to try to figure out whether I really wanted to do that, because it was not local. It would have to travel a lot and stuff, and decided to do it, talked about it with Pat a lot. So they let me in the club in 2002, and since then it's been an incredible experience. For a few people that are members of the Boone and Crockett Club, they get a lot done, and that's the way Teddy Roosevelt wanted it. It's why he founded the club, and we do an incredible amount of work for wildlife across North America. I'm very proud of it. Became president in 2010 and stayed 2 years as president. It's been a true reward in my life to be able to make a difference.
Harvey Weil and Dick Conley were very instrumental in my upbringing. They always took the time to talk to me. I caught my first sailfish when I was 11. My mother used to be my fishing partner. We'd go out on the big boat in the Gulf. She was worried that I'd fall over and they wouldn't see me. So she went with me, and after I caught the sailfish, she said, "Okay, I think you've done it. I don't need to do this anymore."
Pat held Texas game fish records for 560-pound blue marlin on April 20th, 1977, a 540-pound bluefin tuna on April 23rd, 1977, a 325-pound mako shark on August 11, 1973. In 1977, she held all 3 records at the same time.
Pope and Young Club is archery, and only archery. So it's bow hunters and archery, and it's to promote the sport of archery and bow hunting. Texas Wildlife Association, for those who were at the event 2 years ago, Steve Lewis was honored And Steve was one of the founders of Texas Wildlife Association back then, and has been extremely important to that organization and growing it and achieving the things it did. Being a member of Boone and Crockett Club, I found out about Texas Wildlife Association. And what intrigued me most about that organization is they were the ones who tried to figure out how to incentivize private landowners in the state of Texas to promote habitat for wildlife. So they spearheaded the change in the law allowing ag exemption if you perform certain things on your ranch to promote wildlife. So it was incredible because it incentivized private landowners now to promote habitat that promotes growth for wildlife and keeps and retains. Most of my friends out east and west don't quite understand Texas, certainly not high fences or anything else, but what they also don't understand is Texas is almost 97% privately owned. So it's private landowners that are going to make a difference in wildlife in the state of Texas, and TWA did a great job. And Pat and I joined through our ranch back then. We had the Gallagher Ranch in San Antonio, Pat's family did, that we were hunting on and doing stuff, and that's when we joined TWA back in the 80s. And it's been a good organization. We still enjoy going. They have a great convention every year, and a good group of people. Other things, not only wildlife, but Pat and I are involved in many different charity organizations, and currently I'm sitting as vice president of the Texas A&M Corpus Christi Foundation, and that's been a real honor. The new president, Kelly Quintanilla, is doing an incredible job, and we're all pretty excited there, and hope to, make sure that Texas A&M Corpus Christi is going to be an even better asset for South Texas in the future, and I think it will be, especially under her leadership.
Growing up in Port Aransas, I had the opportunity to become a member of the Port Aransas Rod and Reel Club, which, as you know, Mo, is very conservation-oriented. I love the group of people. Ben Vaughn one day called me and said, "Pat, would you be willing to serve on the UT Marine Institute Advisory Board?" I said, "Well, I'd love that, Ben, but I didn't go to UT." And he said, "It doesn't matter. I didn't either." He said, "Well, then I'm in there." And I've been there since, I think, the early 90s when I got on. It's a great group of people. They do wonderful work, and I couldn't ask to be with a better group of people.
Ben and Pat have been active in local, regional, state, and national conservation and civic organizations since the late 1970s. Some of these are:
My hope for the future for wildlife and for the habitat is that we can do exactly what Teddy Roosevelt asked us to do years ago, and that was pass it on to future generations.
Thinking about the world going forward, animals, plants, and just the planet in general, having the kids the opportunity to get outside, to enjoy nature, and to make a difference. You have to be respectful of animals, of everything, and I think that's what we need to instill on our children and our grandchildren.
The one thing we would like to do, obviously, is thank the Harvey Weil Committee and Rotary Club for giving us this honor. I mean, we're truly humbled and grateful and very appreciative to be named the honorees of Sportsman Conservationist of the Year, for the Harvey Weil event, and it means a great deal to Pat and I.
It does. Very appreciative, especially after Harvey. I appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winners of the 2019 Rotary Club of Corpus Christi Harvey Weil Sportsman Conservationist of the Year Award, Ben and Pat Wallace, a couple for all seasons.